All right. Hello, class. Welcome back. Today's lesson, we are talking about our eyes, structure, function of our eyes, and a few illnesses and diseases that relate to our eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay, so when you guys are in our Google Classroom, you should be in this week's weekly slideshow, October 26th to the 30th. When you open up Wednesday's slideshow, you will see we are talking about our eyes. When you click here for your assignment, take your notes, make sure you answer the do now question. Pay attention to any slides. I might have some questions asked during the slides. I might ask you to do a few things just to make sure you're keeping up. And like I told you, research shows when you actually not just listen to information or read information, but when you actually write stuff down and you're becoming a part of it, it will start being stored in that brain of yours. So today is about our eyes. When you guys go ahead and click open your assignment, I'll go ahead and click open a lesson. So your first question is your do not question. What do you know about our eyes? So just any answer, give me at least a complete sentence. What do you know about your eyes? Obviously, they help us see. I mean, do you know any parts, what they're called? Maybe you have certain issues you might know about your eyes. Those of you guys who wear glasses or contacts, maybe why, what are some other reasons, that kind of stuff. When you finish answering that question, go ahead and move on to the next slide. And I want you guys to actually copy and paste this picture in your notes. Usually I have my students draw it, but because we're online, I'm gonna have you copy and paste it in your notes. So this is a diagram of the eye. This is what we're gonna be talking about these next few slides. I will relate back and forth to this page, but if you already have it copied and pasted in your notes, it's so much easier to understand when I talk about each part of it. So we will be talking about this whole eye in general. We have the pupil, which we'll learn is a black dot in your eye. We'll talk about your iris. We'll talk about your sclera, your lens, your cornea, the retina, and then this big guy back here is called your optic nerve. So we'll talk about every single part of those. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So your eye is about the size of a ping pong ball. So if you know a ping pong ball, that's about the size of your eyeball, right? Now the sclera is this white part. So all of the white part of your eyes is sclera. If you see inside here, you see the red veins, those are your blood vessels. Shouldn't call them veins, those are actually the arteries since they're red. And those are your blood vessels. What the sclera does, it's the outer covering of the white part of your eye. And those blood vessels, I told you guys, every part of our body has to be fed by nutrients. How is that done? By our blood. Your blood is the only thing that constantly runs through your body. So after it went to your stomach and small intestines to get the good stuff out, it then sends it where it needs to go. We just talked about our teeth the other day. When it goes through, it goes to the pulp of your tooth and it sends it through the blood vessels to make your teeth nice and strong. Same thing with your eyes. It sends it through the sclera blood vessels, and that's how it nourishes your eyes. So when you think about eating healthy, it's not just taking care of our body and our physical shape, but it's every organ, cell, that tissues that makes us who we are and connects our systems together. All right, your cornea, this is the clear part. So if I take off this whole outer covering of the eyeball, it is the cornea. This is what helps focus on the image as light enters. Some people could have scratch corneas. I remember one time teaching years ago, I was outside on recess duty. There was a wind tornado and something got caught in my eye and it was in there for at least 15 hours and it was just irritating it, where I had gone to the eye doctor and it had a little bit of a scratched cornea in there. So I had to put eye drops in. I wore an eye patch for a few days because you guys know if you have issues with your eyes and the light and just constant blinking, that could irritate your eyes. So I had an eye patch on for a few days and eventually it cleared up itself. Your body's so amazing. A lot of little issues, your body will take care of itself. Just like if I break my arm, my body, it's not like doctors magically heal it. Unless it was shattered, they'll have to put rods and pins in. But if it's just a normal break, your body will connect it together. Same thing with your cornea. Obviously, if it's a bad issue with your cornea, then you'll have to probably have doctors go in and surgically repair it. Which, believe it or not, one of my friends, she works at a company called LifeShare, where she works on cadavers. So unfortunately, people who've passed away, but who have agreed to donate their body for organ donations. So one thing that they can donate is your corneas. So if I happen to pass away, I'm an organ donor. If my corneas are nice and good and they might save someone else's vision who might have had an accident, maybe they fell, maybe something hit their eye, maybe anything happened, damage a cornea, my corneas could go and save their vision. All right, the next part of your eye is called your iris. That's just the colored part of your eye. So if you have blue eyes, hazel eyes, brown eyes, right, green eyes, that's the iris. So it's just the colored part of your eye. Your pupil, that's right here. That's the actual black dot of your eye. This is what first allows the light to go in. Your pupils contract. You guys know, say you're sleeping at night and all of a sudden someone turns the light on and it's bright and your eyes have to adjust. It's your pupils making the adjustment, right? If I was sleeping, they're nice and big, and all of a sudden someone turns the light on, they're going to contract because I don't need that much light in. Eventually my eyes will focus and say, okay, this is better now. And it gives your eyes some time. That's why if you ever have a head injury or you first go to the doctor, they'll get their little flashlight and they'll shine in your eyes because they're checking to see if your pupils are doing what it's supposed to do, right? Dilating and contracting. We do that a lot if I have kids who have a concussion. In soccer, I'll check their eyes and I'll see if their pupils, if I shine light in them, are their pupils contracting like they should be? Because if light shined in them, they should automatically seize up because you don't need that much light in your eyeball. All right, next page. So next we're talking about your lens, your retina, and your optic nerve. So I told you your light went through your pupil, the black dot in your eye. Once it goes through your pupil, it hits this guy called your lens. Okay, so let me show you guys this picture again. So the pupil's right here. You can't really see it, but here's the black dot of your eye, right? Once the light goes through your pupil, it hits the lens right here. Now the lens, think of it like a camera, or if you're in my classroom, my projector. When I have the projector, it projects the image on my wall, make it nice and big. Or if you're at a movie theater, they have a projector and it projects it to the screen. That's the same thing what your lens in your eyeball does. It goes through, the light goes through your pupil. Once it hits the lens, it projects it to the back of that lens, right? I mean, back of that eyeball, which is your retina. So that is what the lens does. It hits the lens, light does, and it sends it right on back and projects that image to the back of the eye. Now, the back of your eye is your retina. Okay, what does your retina do with it? This is what's pretty cool with your retina. Okay, so your retina right here, okay, it sits in the back of your eye, and as you can see, your retina is attached to your optic nerve. Told you guys we have nerves and blood vessels everywhere on our body. This guy right here, this optic nerve, so important. Well, anyways, when that light comes through, so you guys know when you first see something, you're not necessarily seeing the image, you're just seeing light matter. So when that light matter comes through your pupil, it hits the lens, it projects it back to your retina. Actually, the image you're seeing is upside down. So if it stopped at our retina, you would just see me sitting like I'm sitting on my head. You would see every image upside down. But what your retina does, your retina is what sends it, it turns it right side up, and it sends it to your optic nerve. Now you say, where does your optic nerve go? Everything then goes back to your brain. So when all this information, the retina sees the light that the lens projected, that the pupil took in, it flipped it right side up, and then it sends it to the optic nerve. Your optic nerve says, thank you, and it sends it to your brain, and your brain, that quick, processes the image. So right now, as you're looking at my computer screen, you don't have to wait for your pupil to let the light in, the lens to do its job, your retina to flip it upside down, your optic. No, it does it like that. That's how cool our body is and how all these systems work together. So when you see these light particles, these light fragments, it goes through your pupil to your lens, to your retina, flips it right side up, and then your optic nerve sends it to your brain, and it tells you exactly what you're seeing. Now, I told you this optic nerve is really important because unfortunately, say I get in an accident, or say I'm cutting trees down. You guys know we just had an ice storm and I'm cutting trees down. I'm not wearing my protective gear, and maybe a tree comes and it slices my eye. Well, not only might it affect my cornea, my lens, but if it slices deep into my eye socket, and it gets back there to my optic nerve and it slices my optic nerve, that can cause me vision loss or cause me to be blind. Because now if this is cut, no light is going to get the image to the brain. It is not going to be able to tell your brain what it is. So that optic nerve is so important. That's why it's so important to take care of your eyes. If you're doing any work outside or a lot of businesses or companies, you've got to make sure you're wearing your safety goggles. All right. The next page, these are other parts of your eyes. Your ciliary muscles. Whenever you guys hear the word ciliary, that's talking about your eyeballs, right? Or optic, ophthalmologist, that is an eye doctor. Optometrist is also an eye doctor, right? So opto means your eyes. So the ciliary muscles is what actually changes the shape of your lens. So if you need to look at something really, really far away, the ciliary muscles changes the shape so you could focus in on it. If someone brings something close to your face, you're like, whoa, that's too close to my face, your ciliary muscles help change it. Now, just like muscles, like any muscle in our body, we obviously got to work them out, right? By reading, making sure you're keeping your eyes nice and active, right? But just like muscles too, they do deteriorate as you get older. That's why a lot of people's vision might not be as the same. Or like if you put something in my face, whoa, 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 it's too close. I need to back it up a little bit because my ciliary muscles might not be able to focus as well as they used to. Vitreous humor, that's just clear jelly-like material that's in your eye. This actually picture right here, this is actually a sheep eyeball, but very similar to a human eyeball. So if you see right here, it looks like clear jelly over here on the right side of your picture. That's vitreous humor. And then obviously a tear duct. You guys know in the focus in the very inside your eye socket, you have a tear duct. Every time you blink, fluid goes in, it cleans your eye. Obviously, when we go through something sad or maybe very funny and you start crying, obviously those tears are coming out of those tear ducts. We could have issues with your tear ducts. Okay, they could be, say you're really sick or have some type of infection, it could clog up. If your tear duct's clogged up, you might have to go to the doctor. They might have to try to drain it out. Some people might not have tear ducts that actually have a lot of fluid and they have a lot of dry eyes, so they're probably ones who constantly have to put medicine, that Visine, in their eyes to keep it nice and liquidy. You want to make sure your eyes have fluid because that's what's constantly clearing it out. We don't notice it because your eyes do it on its own, but constant dirt particles are going in our eyes, and every time you blink, it cleans it out for us. All right, moving on. All right, now this is called the rods and cones. This is actually in your retina. So if you guys remember, let me slide on back. So your retina, this purple guy all back here, in this purple wall in the back of your eye, you have rods and cones. You say, what do they do? First of all, how many do you have? You have 120 million rods and 7 million cones in each eye, right? I told you I'm a big number person. So in each eye, you have 120 million rods and 7 million cones. What do they do? Well, obviously, when that light comes through, we showed you the process for your pupil to your lens, then it shines it to your retina flips it right side up. What the rods do, your rods help you see black, white, and shades of gray. Your rods are really good for night vision. So when I'm driving, it's dark out, I might see something cross the road, I might not know what it is, and then my lights, maybe my headlights flash on it or the street light flashes on it, I'm like, oh, it was a dog crossing the road. But I was able to see it beforehand because my rods let me depict shape and they let me see those black, white, grayish images, right? Cones let you see color. The cool thing with your cones is, you guys know we only see 3 colors, red, green, and blue. So you say, well, why is there pink, purple, what is yellow, what are all these other colors, orange? Red, green, and blue are like the main primary colors. And when they all mix together, right, when we learned this in art class, that's how you find the different shades. So we can see shades of, but these are the 3 main colors. So your cones let you see colors, right? Now, some of you guys are sitting there like, what if people are colorblind? So I'm going to show you that here in a second. I'm going to have to share my screen in a different way. All right, so now I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you this video, what it's like to be colorblind. Some of you guys are sitting there like, yeah, I'm colorblind. I can't really see that many images. So I'm going to show you this quick video and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
What is it like to be colorblind? Does colorblind mean you can't see any colors at all? You only see black and white?
You tell somebody that doesn't know anything about it, and they think, well, there's colors that you don't see. It's not like you're blind. It's just I get pretty much everything mixed up. Like I get blue and purple confused, I get red and green, green and brown, red and brown, orange and green, yellow and green, pink and blue, like all of those. I can see something and think it's, something else. I just don't think about color, I think, the way people look at something, one of the first things they think about is what color it is, anything. And I don't ever think about it. I think about everything else, I just don't think about that. Well, if I look at that tree, I think about the shape, the texture of it. Your brain kind of comes up with a list of things that sort of relate to what that is. Color is not one of them. I don't even think about what color it is.
How did you find out you were colorblind?
I remember hearing the story about how I was in kindergarten and the teachers called my parents the color I was using in my artwork. The colors were just wrong. Like maybe the sky purple and the people were green and the grass was orange, and somebody was just like, oh, maybe he's colorblind. I remember taking the test. If you look at the circle and there's dots and they ask you what number you see.
Have you ever thought something was one color and it turned out to be another?
That does happen every once in a while. There'll be something that I either own or come across on a regular basis that I thought was one color and it's just not.
Does someone help you get dressed in the morning?
I think that's more of an issue when you're like putting together an outfit that has to be coordinated. And I just don't do that. I just wear things that kind of go together with everything. It's like jeans and blue shirts, black shirts.
What's your job?
Well, it's just kind of funny because I work with photographs all day. There have been situations at work where, you know, because I work on websites and things to do with design, graphics, and things like that. It's like, can you make that a little more green? I'll open up the color picker in Photoshop and I'll get them to point. I'm like, why don't you can pick exactly what you want. Let them do it. And there's websites you can go to that have pre-created color schemes, you know, colors that look okay together.
Is it hard to be colorblind?
It would be easier to not be colorblind. It kind of would be easier if I could see it the way everyone else sees it, because then we're all on the same page. You're kind of like on a slightly different page if you're colorblind. In the realm of disability, it's pretty minor. It's not something I think about all the time, because I mean, it's really not that big a deal.
All right. So one cool thing with that is just showing being colorblind is technically considered disability, but just showing you, like, don't let disabilities limit you, because there are so many things you guys can do and ways that can help you manage, get through certain disabilities. I'll go ahead and present my screen again, and we will finish our eyes lesson. Okay, so if you're sitting there like, man, some of those colors are hard for me to see, this is like a basic colorblind test. So if you see these letters right here, or these numbers right here, it might be hard for some of you. Some of you guys might be easy. You might be colorblind just in reds. You might be colorblind with the blues or greens, or all three of them, right? So obviously this number, if you could see it, 12. What do you guys see right here? A 2. And about this one on the right? A 42. What about this one down here? A 24, you see that, 24. And this one's a tough one. This is a 6. You see that 6 right there? That's a 6, right? All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, now we're gonna be talking about certain eye issues. This first one, I bet a lot of you guys have, is called astigmatism. Okay, what it means, it's when your actual lens, when we talk about your lens, of ciliary muscles, it helps change, you know, whether you can see close or far. Well, this is when the actual cornea in that lens is shaped imperfectly. It's like football shaped. So that cornea, which covers your lens, covers your pupil, yours is actually more football shaped. It's not nice and oval round, it's just football shaped. You said, who cares? What does that do? Well, if you see this picture at the top right, when that light comes in and it hits your cornea into your lens, because it's like a obscured shape, it sends light to the retina, but it doesn't send it as one vision. It sends it as a few different light images. And when it does that, your retina now sees these different pictures of light. So if you guys look at the bottom right now, I don't have astigmatism, so that's normally what I see. It usually, a lot of people, it affects them more at night than it does during the day. I'm not saying it doesn't, but usually at night, because that's when a lot of lights are being shined. So that's normal. That's what I see every night. Someone with astigmatism, this is what they see. It's like that light shining off, that extra line of light stream. So that's someone with astigmatism. How do you take care of it? Honestly, most people just wear glasses. They go to the doctor and they give them corrective lenses, glasses or contacts to help with it. Some people, if it's something that's like a constant bother or becoming even more like becoming worse, more bad, harder to see, they might have refractive surgery. So they might have surgery to help change that cornea. That's if the images come in a little bit more difficult. They don't know the cause of it, but that's astigmatism. Can you die from it? No. Is it just annoying to probably see things? Yes, I can imagine. All right, the next one we're talk about is called macular degeneration. This one actually my grandma had when she was here. She had macular degeneration. So what is it? It's when the retina, remember the retina is the very back of your eyeball, it starts to just deteriorate. This is something that can run in families. This isn't contagious, just like astigmatism, but it's like where that retina is just in the back of your eye. It's like I said, with age, certain things in our body might just start wearing out and that would start deteriorating. Now what happens? So if this picture of these penguins down here, it first starts out obviously normal vision. Then it starts losing like the very inside image starts to become really blurry and splotty and it's hard to see. And as you can see, as it progresses, it becomes harder to see the whole image. So it starts taking out the very middle and then it spreads, right? So when my grandma was alive, when she started having really, really bad issues with her eyes, it's like she could see me, but she might not be able to see my actual eyes, nose, and mouth. She might not be able to see like if I'm smiling or whatnot, if my eyes are fully open or closed. So it was hard for her to see that center image before it got really, really, really bad. It could go to severe vision loss. Now, there is no cure for it to actually treat it and get it like gone. However, there are ways to try to prevent it from getting so bad so quick. I used to always say, man, my grandma is so strong. She is a rock star. My grandma used to prevent, vision loss. She would go to the doctor and they would have to put medicine in her retina. And I said, well, how do they get it back there? They would hold her eye open, right? And they would put a big old needle inside her pupil all the way back to her retina and shoot that medicine back there. So she would have needles in her eye every so often to help that retina stay strong. Now, did it help her from complete vision loss? Yes, it did. Did it help cure it altogether? No, it didn't. But it prevented her from losing her vision altogether. All right, cataracts. If you've heard of cataracts, this shows you on the bottom left what it looks like. So normal, so I don't have cataracts. So my normal pupil and lens, nice, right? You see the black, you see the lens covering it. Someone with cataracts, it looks like it's clouded the pupil up, right? And this would be the image they see. Everything is just blurry, not just one area. Everything is just blurry. So who's at risk of cataracts? People who are overexposed to light. Smoking can cause it, drinking can cause it, and diabetes. So how do you treat it? Well, like I said, the very last thing you can do is surgery, right? But what you can do, you're just going to have to constantly, by changing out your glasses, when you go to your doctor, your optometrist, it might be okay to have this prescription lens, and then maybe a few years, maybe it's gotten worse, so they change your prescription lens out. Maybe you need to use brighter lighting. Some people use magnifying glasses to see certain images. Like I said, last thing people will do is surgery, and that's if they choose to go that route. All right. Next issue is called glaucoma. Now, glaucoma is like a group of related eye diseases that can cause blindness. What is glaucoma? So it's where you have blurry vision. Now, I don't have glaucoma, so if you look at the bottom left, that would be my normal vision. I see the tree, I see the clouds, I see the grass. People with glaucoma, it's the opposite of what my grandma had. It literally starts blurring out the outside image, and eventually it will then take over the whole picture, right? My grandma's was the opposite. It blurred out the middle, and then it increased to the whole picture. The problem with glaucoma, though, it's not just the vision that's affected, it's the pain and pressure that comes with glaucoma. Like it says here, there's no treatment. However, there are ways to treat the pain from it. And one of the ways, honestly, that helps is medicinal marijuana. It can help relieve that pressure. And like I said, it doesn't take it away, but it relieves the pressure of it. So if you look at this picture on the right, it's like someone takes your eyeball out and just constantly is squeezing it, right? Think of how painful that will be. So to help alleviate some of that pain, some optometrists or doctors might prescribe certain medicines, and one of them could be medicinal marijuana to relieve some of that pressure in the eye. All right, the last slide, everyone here has seen this before, right? You go to the doctor, you get your vision test. And I said, what's the whole point of that vision test? Well, if you see these letters, they go from 1 to 10, 12, 13 at the bottom, right? So if you see on the right, it says 20 out of 200, 20 out of 100. Well, eventually when you get down here, you see 20 out of 20. A lot of you guys here, I'm 20/20 vision. So what this means is, this is what you can see versus the typical person can see, how many feet away. So say, for example, this E. Now, you got to be 20 feet away, okay? So at 20 feet away, you say, yeah, I can see that E. Well, typically, people who have good vision can see this E at 200 feet away. So I can see this 200 feet away, all right? Not 20 feet away, you're like, okay, I can see that. People can see this at 100 feet, okay? So if you go down the line, that's what it means. What you see at 20, someone can see at 70 feet. Well, they usually start you off, line 8 is 20/20 vision. So if they start you at line 8, they say, all right, Coach Global, close your right eye. Tell me what it is, DEFPOTEC, right? And they do it with each eye. Now, say I can't do that one, okay? I go up to line 7. Say I could do line 7. Yep, FELOPZD. I could do that one perfect. They're saying what I see at 20 feet, someone could see at 25 feet. So someone could stand 5 feet further and see it. That means they have better vision than me compared to that 20-foot mark. If you could see the 9, so say you close your eye and you're like LEFODPCT and you could see that one, that means what someone can see at 20 feet, right? Or someone can see at 15 feet, you can see at 20 feet. So you might have to be closer and I'm still standing further back. So obviously the lower you go on that chart, the better your eyesight is. I mean, each eye could be different. Both my eyes are 20/20. I get a eye check every year to drive my bus, right? My right eye is better. My left eye is better than my right eye, but I'm still at the 20/20 and the 20/15 when it comes to vision. Vision actually is pretty good in my family. You might be like, yeah, if I take my glasses or contacts out, I can barely see line 4. So that means what you see at 20 feet, I can see at 50 feet, right? I can stand further back and see that. So that's what that eye chart means. All right, so right now, real quick in your notes while I stop sharing my screen, I want you to explain 3 things that you found interesting about your eyes. So 3 things you found interesting. It could be the actual function of your eyes. Think about, we talked about your pupil, your lens, your retina. We talked about the ciliary muscles. We talked about the vitreous humor, the tear ducts. We talked about different illnesses, diseases like astigmatism, macular degeneration, glaucoma, all that kind of stuff. We talked about your rods, your cones, colorblind. So just 3 things you found interesting about your eye. Make sure we're taking care of our eyes. How do you do that? Obviously, if you're outside and it's really, really bright outside, wear your sunglasses. If you're using any type of equipment from like yard work to maybe you're getting involved in like welding, that kind of careers, wear your safety goggles. Making sure you're not straining your eyes, right? Giving your eyes a rest. Those who wear contacts, making sure you're changing out your contacts, keeping them nice and clean, right? If your eyes become dry, making sure you're keeping them nice and liquidy, making sure they're taken care of. Hopefully you guys learned a lot about your eyes today. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about our ears, and then we will finish off with our skin unit. So hope to see you guys soon. If you guys have any questions, just holler at me. Don't forget, you subscribe down below. It's so much easier to see my YouTube videos. All right, talk to y'all later. See ya.